Spotify told you what you listened to, but I'm here to tell you what I actually read. And honestly, the data for the year is slightly unhinged. 176 books, 54,749 pages. That's a lot of words. But before we get to the 5-star reads that ruined my life in the best way possible in 2025, we have to talk about the vibe for 2025. So if you thought that I was going to say anything other than fantasy romance for my top genre, have we met? It was definitely the year of epic fantasies with slow burn, and apparently the year that I actually refused to read much that was set in the real world. But out of nearly 200 books, who actually claimed the crown as my most read author? So I had 5 authors who absolutely dominated my reading time this year. So let's quickly run through my top 5. Coming in at number 5 was Elizabeth Stevens. I definitely can recommend the Supers in the City series, which is superhero romance, and the Bone King and the Starling, excellent historical romance. You definitely need to add all of that to your TBR. Next at number 4 is Kayla Grosse, and that includes anything from tornado hunters like in Whirlwind to Nephilim poly holiday romances like Scrooged for the Holidays. Coming in at number 3, Harley Laroux, an author I've been wanting to really try. The highlights for me definitely Her Soul to Take and the Losers series. Coming in at number 2 was Nikki Crowe, and that's because I devoured the Hot Vampire Next Door series. Highly recommend if you're a Sookie Stackhouse fan. But the queen of 2025 and my number 1 most read author was Alexandra Vasti. I read Earl Crush, Latest in Hating, and all 3 books in the Halifax Hellions, which is actually coming out as a title all in 2026, and none of them were amiss. So if you want a historical romance that feels fresh and witty, this is your sign to pick her up. But that's just the authors, right? So what about the actual books? Out of 176 contenders, these are the books that rose to the top based on my rating and rereadability. Coming in at number 5 was Rage by Nia Mist. Absolutely loved this dark romance with a group of female vigilantes. At number 4, we have Promise Me by Sarah Kate. Now, this is a 2026 release. It comes out in February, so mark your calendars and just add it to your TBR. So addictive, and the angst is amazing. Coming in at number 3, The Serpent's Bride by Kathryn and Kingsley. Now, you know I love Kathryn and Kingsley, but if you're a fan of old school paranormal romance, I think you're really going to enjoy this series. And also, yes, it is fantasy romance, but it does have that mafia and paranormal romance vibe. So definitely a must add to your TBR. At number 2, another one that I think it's great for fans of old school paranormal, it's Terror at the Gates by Scarlett St. Clair. I devour this one, and I cannot wait for more in this series. This is a heroine and a hero that you'll definitely want to meet, but also a world that it was just enthralling and so unique, and I absolutely loved it. And the number 1 book, the one that beat them all, In the Veins of the Drowning by Kalie Cassidy. Now, I read this book back in July, and I still think about it. It is dark, it's atmospheric, it's about sirens, and the FMC is actually kind of morally gray herself. It just hit every single note for me. It's a debut author, and I cannot wait for book 2 that comes out in 2026. Now, you're probably wondering, Francesca, but how did you read 176 books this year? That's a lot. Well, shout out to my ears, because we got through 112 audiobooks. That is the only reason that I actually hit 176 books total this year. I used to get through a lot of books without listening to them, but I'm just too busy these days. So I'm listening while I'm doing everything, while I'm cooking, while I'm cleaning, while I'm doing laundry, while I'm breathing. Now, when it comes to audiobook, here's my top 5 for the year. Starting out with number 5, Don't Let Your Dukes Grow Up to Be Scoundrels by Louisa Darling. This one definitely makes the list because I stumbled across this on complete accident on Audible after listening to Elisa Kleypas, and it gave me a preview of this one. And come to find out, Louisa Darling is an author that I have read her contemporary romances under a different pen name, Louisa Edward, and I absolutely love her contemporaries, so I had to try her historicals. Devoured her series, highly recommend. Coming in at number 4, The Poisoner by Ivy Ophelia. Now, if you're a fan of Vampire Lestat and Anne Rice, you definitely need to read The Poisoner, and I was just going to read the book, but I ended up getting the audiobook, and it was such a pleasurable experience because there's a little bit of sound effects in there as well, so if you get a chance to listen to the audiobook for this, definitely highly recommend. Coming in at number 3, it's a more recent release, and it's Cold Wire by Chloe Gong. I've been telling everybody that this is an amazing must-read book for this year, and you have to go and pick it up. If you like anything to do with like sci-fi or anything like that, this is a bit of YA. There is a slight little bit of romance. I know I'm itching to get to the next book in this series, and it's just such a cool concept, a little bit like The Matrix. And of course, there's the evil corporation that wants to rule everybody and the rebel faction that's going up against them. It's just so good. Highly recommend. Coming in at number 2 is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I mean, no notes. You guys probably know that it's an amazing book. Devoured it. And my number 1 audiobook goes to Sweep in Peace by Ilona Andrews. Now, if you aren't listening to Ilona Andrews on audio or reading Ilona Andrews, let's be real, you are definitely missing out. But this year I actually listened to this on graphic audio, and it was a life-changing experience. Now you get all of the special effects with a graphic audio, and it was absolutely magical. It was such a great experience. 10 out of 10 would recommend. But now listen, we did the good and we have to also do the bad, because you can't read 176 books without hitting some bumps in the road. I know that I'm going to talk about some popular books here, and I know people love them, so please don't come for me in the comments, or I know you probably will come for me in the comments, so let's talk it out civilly. These are two books that I DNF'd. I just could not connect with them, did not like them. First up is On Wings of Blood by Briar Bourlain. I think that's how you say the author's name. I made it about 30% of the way through this one. I couldn't get past it. I wasn't just bored with the storyline, but I was actively annoyed with the characters in this story and some of the things that were happening. Now here's the thing, I handle all kinds of things, right? Dark romance, enemies to lovers, all the stuff. But there was something very high school bullying vibes in this one. It just felt very petty. And I immediately disliked pretty much every single character. I didn't care if they fell in love. I just wanted them to stop talking half the time. I remember reading this book. I was calling Suzanne and we were on the phone and she was like, "What are you reading?" I tell her what this book was about. And as I am describing the book, I am actively getting more annoyed by the fact that I am still reading it, and I just had to DNF it. Just hard DNF, I couldn't get through it. And then we come to Direbound by Sable Sorensen. This is another one of the BookTube darlings. I know everyone seems to love it. It is usually recommended for fans of Fourth Wing, but with direwolves instead of dragons. I also got to about 30% of the way through, and I realized I just didn't really care for anything that was happening. I wasn't into it. I couldn't remember. I was listening to the audiobook, I was putting the book down, picking up something else that would hold my attention better. Of course, that book would hold my attention. And then I would come back to this one weeks later, and I just didn't really remember anymore what it was about because I just didn't care for anyone there. I was just completely bored. Maybe it's a me thing. I don't know. I know a lot of times I give books like this a try and I will stick with them, especially because I know sometimes the first book is a dud, or even 50% of the first book can be a dud, and then it's an amazing book in the end. I just didn't have it in me to stick with it. I don't think it's necessarily a bad book. I think that the writing was better, in my opinion, in this one than in the other one that I mentioned. But, I read 176 books this year. I don't have time to be bored by a book. So I am definitely DNFing way harder in my old age. So definitely 2025 was a year of massive numbers, a few hard DNFs. There were a few more than these. And I also found some new all-time favorites, from debut authors to authors that I had never read before that I really wanted to try. And the biggest thing was a year of mood reading. So mood reading for the win. Now, if you want to know exactly which books made my top 10 best books of the year, and see if your favorite made the cut, and also to see my favorite fantasy romances of the year, stay tuned to the channel because I have those coming up soon. Now, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more book recs. And also, before we go, let me know in the comments what book did you DNF this year, and did we read any of the same books? But for now, that's all I have for you guys. Happy reading, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!